So this is the, so have you had a chance to read through that then?
Yeah. And when I got to page 29 on the layers,
Right.
there are some layers that you're asking for here.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to figure out, okay, where are they on the drawing?
You'll probably have to create those.
I know, but what is a wall furring?
A wall furring is, it's part of a wall. It's a layer of a wall. You know, when you have a wall, an exterior wall, sometimes you may have a brick wall. You'll have some paneling.
Right.
And you'll have a metal furring that could be attached to a concrete masonry unit that then you could apply some gypboard to. Did the project ask you to do, let me see here.
Yeah, this is on page 29.
Okay. So which page was that that talks about the
29.
page 29?
Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, you passed it. Right
there.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Create new layers with these respective name, layer, and colors. Okay, I think what they're doing, what this is all about, you just create the layers. I don't know if you have to worry about putting all the pieces on those particular layers. I think we're just looking to make sure you know how to create layers like that, give it a color and a line type.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
And I think if you need to put some things on some layers, they specify that in the directions somewhere.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure because I wasn't clear. I'm like, I see you've got all these layers here, but then when I look at the diagram, I'm not seeing where some of these layers should be.
Yeah. So I think that's more of a layer exercise than anything.
Okay. All right. Got that. So let's see. Everything else, you want us to create all of the blocks. So we create all of the blocks on each one of those pages you specify, right?
Yeah, if we look at that, when I first saw this, it was kind of confusing to me, but what's happening is that sheet there is an example of a way that you could create that particular door block.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you right here, step number 1, you draw the outside. Step 2, you draw the door jambs. Step 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on.
Okay.
So that at the end of the day, you've got this door right here, a door block.
Right.
And then the same thing with this. It takes you through steps 1. You may draw it differently. This is just kind of a hint that's given to you.
Okay.
To draw that. And see what you got: the window, some chairs, and this is the overall floor plan where it talks about drawing the corners, doing some offsetting, and then doing some mirroring to get that. And it goes on to show some more steps here, and there's the shutter. And staircase and so on.
But I have a question. If you're providing this to us, are you asking us to draw this and then include it as a block?
Yeah, you would draw those blocks and include those in the floor plan, which is right here.
Okay. All right. So that's a whole lot of blocks to have to draw, right?
Yeah, you've got a couple of chairs. So you draw that chair one time, and then you insert it 6 places.
Right.
Now, as far as the table, does it tell you to do the table? Let's see, what's it got here? It's got some.
It has several pages it want us to do blocks on. That's why I'm,
Yeah.
let's see. So I'm like, do we draw all of these? Because you've got, it says we will need to set up blocks for all the items drawn in the following PDFs, which are panel doors, windows, chair groupings, shutters, staircase, fireplace, furniture, appliances.
Right. So, and then these pages here takes you through how to draw those.
Okay. All right.
So at the end of the day, you're going to have basically 2 pages. One page, let's see if it's going to look like this. And you're going to put these blocks on different layers so that in the viewports you could turn those layers on and off.
Okay.
So, and then the other sheet you're going to have is this sheet right here with 4 viewports.
So it's the final product.
Yeah, the final product.
Block on.
Yeah, it's just going to, the final project that you turn in is going to be these 2 pages right here. Page number 1, page number 2.
Okay, but I'm only going to end up with these 4 blocks?
For this page right here, you have a door block, the window block, is that the stair block, and then the shutter.
Okay, so you don't want the step by step. You just want the final.
That's right.
Product.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Now that makes more sense because I'm like, we got to draw each one of these steps.
No.
Okay.
The step was just meant to be a help for you, but because I thought it was kind of confusing, that's why I wanted to do a web meeting with people to let them ask some questions.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. The final. We go through the steps and then we come out with the final like shutter, and that's the one we use for the block.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. All right. That makes much more sense.
Okay.
I was like, we need about a month for this if we got to draw every one of these for a block.
I'll give you till August.
Yeah, we need it too.
Of next year.
Okay, I got it now. All right,
Okay.
that makes sense now.
Are you comfortable with creating those viewports, Yolanda?
Oh gosh.
Should we go through that exercise?
You know what? There were a couple of exercises I didn't have time to do, and I apologize for that. But
oh, no problem.
Sometimes work get in the way, and I have to feed myself. So
you got that right.
First, I didn't get to do the plotting and the viewports. I think and I still didn't understand how to do those. What was it? The holes.
The viewports.
Is that considered viewports where we had to do that whole exercise?
Where you did that circle?
Yeah, and
yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to match up the holes with the chart. Whole chart, that's what it was, whole chart.
Oh, that one.
I couldn't figure that out. I did several. I saw where an older version made it easy. But I couldn't figure it out with the 2019 version how to do it.
Okay, yeah, what that was, I think as I recall, you did the table, but you didn't ID the location of the circles.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to make it correlate together. I couldn't figure that out. Some of them, the video said you had to create like an Excel spreadsheet and load it up. I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I don't need that with this exercise, this final project, right?
Right.
Okay, so viewport would help, and then plotting.
Okay, let's do one here really quickly. I'm just going to, this is my floor plan here. Maybe I'm going to do something like this. So I've got 2 different objects. Now, when you do yours, you're going to put all your walls, your windows, your door blocks, your couches, your chairs, and tables the pool and the trees in one place, but you're going to put them on, you're going to layer them so that you have the ability to turn them on and off in different viewports. But to actually create that viewport, once you've got everything drawn, and just for the fun of it, let's come over here, and these will be, this is not very detailed, is it? But I want to just to show you. This represents those 4 blocks. The staircase, the door, and the window. It's not a very good representation, but it's just objects there for us. But what you're going to do here is you're going to create a viewport. And I'm going to open up my sheet here. I've got a paper here. I just want to make sure I've got it named properly. And it takes you through pretty well. So, okay, so on one of those pages, it talks about Layout tab, the F2 VP, of how to create that. And here's how we do that. We go to the Tools pull down, and down below here we have something called Wizard. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a layout. So, and it's going to take us through a step-by-step through all of this. And right now it asks us what the name of it is. And the assignment tells us to call it, let's see, what is it, I can get in here, right? FP2VP. So that's the name of the first. That means floor plan 2 viewports. It could be anything you want, but that's kind of, I think, what she was asking for. So I do it next. Then it asks us for the printer. And we want to set this sheet up so it's going to print to a certain printer and a paper size. And the printer we want to use is the DWG to PDF PC3 file. And what that'll do is, are you familiar with Adobe Acrobat, Yolanda?
Yes.
So when if you install Adobe on your machine, you have an Adobe printer that lets you create PDFs. AutoCAD has this DWG to PDF that allows you to create PDFs as well. It's an out-of-the-box thing. So that's the printer they want us to use. So I select that and hit next, and I'm just looking at the sheet here, and it tells me to do ArchD 24 by 36. So if I hit the drop down here, I'm looking for an ArchD 24 by 36 inches. That's what they want. It's going to be in inches. So I click next. It tells me to do landscape. And the architectural title block. Now, for some reason, if this doesn't show up, let me know, and I can help you with that. It should show up for you, though. So I'm going to click that and select next. And here it says, when you create a layout, you can have a bunch of viewports, and you can position them in rows and columns. In this particular one, they want us to use the array method here. And they tell us that they want us to do 1 row and 2 columns, and they give us a scale of 1/8 inch equals a foot. And again, I'm just looking at my sheet here. The spacing in between, I'm just going to leave that there for the time being. And then I'm going to say next. And as far as location, I'm not going to select any location. I'm just going to hit next here and let it pick the location automatically for me. And then I'm going to click finish. And when it does that, I've got my layout. There's my title block that I picked that I can double click on to add. I think I can add that. Yeah, there's, if you double click on it, you can click in here and put the author, the file name, and add those values there. But I've got 2 viewports. And if you look at the lower left corner of my screen here, you see that little, like a blue triangle there?
Yeah.
That tells me that I'm in what they call paper space. I don't know if in your reading, if you really grasp what that concept meant, but once you draw your objects, paper space is like stepping out of the drawing and putting it on paper, if you will. And right now on my paper space, I've got 2 viewports, and that's kind of like cutting a hole into my paper and looking at my objects. So if I double click inside one of these viewports, I'm just going to double click. Now my crosshair is inside, and if I zoom in, I can zoom in to find that one floor plan like this.
Okay.
And if I double click into this viewport, I can zoom in and I can find that other one. Again, these objects are just representing now I've got a circle and some kind of a shape here. Actually, what you're going to do is going to be just the floor plan. But once you're in here, you're able to turn the layers on and off. Did you understand how to turn layers on and off in the viewports through the reading?
In the layer, I understand how to create the layers.
Okay, let's just look at the layer then. If I go to the Home tab, and where's layers here? This layer properties, yeah. I just have a couple layers here. But if we come over here, here's the key right here. You've got on and off and freeze and thaw. Let me get this over here. Where'd my layer go? Where's my VP freeze?
Third, is that the third one right there?
Oh, there we go. Yep, you're right. In the older versions, they have it over here on this side. That's what I was looking for. So what you want to do, Yolanda, is you want to have all your layers on and frozen, and then on and thawed, I'm sorry. And then by the VP freeze, once you're inside the viewport like I am now, let's see, let me see if I can move this down. Right now I'm inside this viewport here. So when I go to my layer properties, by clicking on the different layers by VP freeze, that freezes them in that viewport only. So that's what's going to allow you to, in one viewport, turn your landscaping objects off in your swimming pool, and then in the other viewport, turn off your couches and your chairs and your tables. So that's why when you put your objects in there, you've got to separate them out onto a landscaping layer. Did they tell you to put it on a furniture layer of some kind, something like that maybe?
I think so, yes.
Something like that. So what that allows you, this VP freeze allows you to, once you click inside that viewport, double click inside, you go to your layer properties and then go to VP freeze and turn the ones off that you don't want on. You just got to make sure that all the layers though, the on and frozen, they have to be on and thawed first, and then you go into VP freeze in each viewport.
Okay. So that means in your viewport, you can see only the layers that you want to.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
That lets you separate them out.
Right. Okay.
So if you were to draw everything on one layer, you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's why you would think things through and figure out which layers you want on and off, and then you would separate those parts onto those separate layers that give you control over the display.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So do we have to have this printed, or are we just going to put it on PDF?
Well, what you would do is you want to give me the DWG file, but as far as to print it, what you do is I'm not sure. The book was telling you to do an export PDF. I think the easiest way to do it is if you go to your AutoCAD, that A up there at the top left corner, and do a print. When it asks you to pick the printer, if you set this up correctly, it should already say DWG to PDF. So all you really have to do is come over, and it's got the paper size already as well. What the plot, it should have the layout there for you. What you may want to do is come up here at the upper right corner where it says the pen. That controls the colors of things. Monochrome would probably be okay. If you leave it at none, it's not the end of the world. But what happens now is when we do a preview of this, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
So at this point here, I can right click and exit to go back to here, and then I can do an OK to print it. And what it's going to do is going to say, okay, where do you want to save this? And I'll go to, I'll just put in my documents, and I'll call it FP2VP. So let's save that. And let's see here what it does. And let's go out there and see if we can find it now. So those are my documents. Come on. There it is. So let's double click on that.
Oh, it's creating a PDF. Okay.
Hopefully it'll come up here in a second. Let's see. And of course my PDF, Adobe's not responding, but it's been acting up on me. But what that'll be, that's that PDF that you can then upload to Canvas. This one, and you can print out a separate PDF too if you want to of the FP4 VP to show the door, the window, the shutter, and the stair. I think it was.
And what's that last drawing you have on there? What is that for?
Which one is that?
I printed this out, and so it may have just printed weird. It's after.
Is it on the instructions?
Yeah, it's after the pool.
Let me see if I can get it here.
And like I say, I printed it, so it may have just done something weird when I printed it, but.
I've been having problems with Adobe today. Opening, there we go. That one came up. Okay, and here's that other one. I don't know what happened. That one we just printed a second ago?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. The instructions also may have told you to put that viewport on another layer too, because see how that we can see the viewport there?
Mm-hmm.
So if you put a viewport, if you create a viewport layer and then change that viewport to that viewport layer, that might be wise too, because what you can do then is if you go to your layer properties, let's see, let's just create one really quickly. I'll do one, I'll call it viewport. And you see it, you get this plot column here.
Right.
If you click that and put a red X through or a red line through the plotter, whatever objects you put on that layer will not plot.
Okay.
So sometimes people do that when they put viewports. They don't want to show the viewports. And that's one idea. But anyway, back to your other question there about that other drawing.
But we shouldn't do that, right? We shouldn't turn off that plot.
You don't have to. If it doesn't say to do it, no, don't worry about it. So there was another sheet there?
I printed something weird after that. What is that for?
This is, I believe, that is, I had that same question. I didn't create this test. That's why I've got some sympathy for you guys. That is, this guy right there, the doorknob.
Oh, okay.
So we don't label it very well to make it hard for you guys. That's what happened there.
Of course, yes. Make it challenging. That's what I was like. I couldn't figure out what in the world that was.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, when I first saw this, I had to go to the professor who created it and just ask a bunch of questions. It was kind of confusing to me too.
Okay.
But you know, when everything is said and done, this page and that page are all you have to do. But that's still a lot of work. But those are the only two things you have to turn in.
Okay.
One question, I was talking to a student yesterday about the design center and bringing in the swimming pool and the trees. Are you familiar with how to do that? I created a video and sent an email out to everybody about how to do that.
I was watching. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but I was watching the design center.
Okay. It's
finish it.
But anyway.
So is the design center somewhere where you can get that pool, or what does it do?
Do you want to do it really quickly here?
Yeah, what does it have? Objects in it that we can grab?
Yeah, what it's got is you can browse to Autodesk. When you install AutoCAD, it installs a folder of sample drawings. And inside those drawings, they have some blocks. like a swimming pool, trees, shrubbery, and then you can click on those and just drag them in your drawing. And just the way you do that, and I'll just copy what I did in the video. You go to the View tab. That's the View pull down. The View tab. Under the Palettes panel, you got Design Center right here, or you can just type in DC. I think DC at the command line will do the same thing. So once you click it here, and depending on where you had it last or where it is, it'll look something like this probably once you first start it. And you can pull blocks from drawings that are open or some AEC. I don't know if you have AEC content or not on your machine, but what you'll want to do is go to the folders, and under folders you would open up your computer. Under computer you got your C drive. You open that up and you go to your program files, and this is where AutoCAD is installed. And the video talks about this, but you click on that plus sign. Underneath program files, you'll see Autodesk. I left click on that. Underneath Autodesk, you're going to see a bunch of Autodesk products. And I've installed a lot of Autodesk things, so that's why there's a bunch of things here. But for you, you probably don't have as many, but you should have an AutoCAD 2019. So you'll click that plus sign. And underneath here, they've got something called sample. And this is where they throw those sample drawings in. So if we open that up, let me scroll up here a little bit. And then the one last folder here is EN-US. And I'm not sure what that stands for, but if we click that open, we see Design Center here as well. So if I hit that plus sign, underneath Design Center, this is where all the things like if you want to do some analog, let's see, electric circuits. If you want to do some basic electronics here, electric power, some fasteners, home and space planner, home designer, HVAC, hydraulic stuff, kitchens, here's that landscaping, some pipes, plant processes. So anyway, they give you a handful of drawings, and inside those drawings you have blocks. Now to access those blocks, for instance, we'll click landscape drawing. On the right side here, you'll see some things. We can access the blocks of that drawing, the layers, line types, layouts, a bunch of things. We're mainly focusing on the blocks. So if I double click on blocks, now I see things like, hey, there's that swimming pool. There's a tree. And if I want that swimming pool in my drawing, I just left click on it, drag it, and just drop it into my drawing. And there's my swimming pool. And then from here, you'd want to change it to the right layer, right? Because right now it's going to come on whatever the current layer is. If I want a tree, I bring the tree in. And you've got to have a hot tub with the pool, so you bring your hot tub in. Anyway, in the picnic table and some other items that you can bring in. So that's landscape. In kitchens, I'm not sure what's in kitchens. Let's just click on that and see. If I click on kitchens and then double click on the blocks. So in kitchens here, I've got things like a dishwasher, a base cabinet. Let's see what that says. Anyway, just some basic blocks. Home designer, I'm curious about that. If I click on home designer, there's a bathtub and pedestals, a sink, different things you would find in a house for your floor plan. But I think for the final project, the drawing file that you want to hit is that landscaping.dwg file.
So if I want the swimming pool on a separate layer, I have to click the layer first before I go and drag and drop?
No, not necessarily. You can do that, but say in this case I didn't. So let's show you how to fix that. So what layer would you want that on?
Let's say I put that on, create a new layer, call it landscape, and then I want it to be green.
Okay, so let's do that. So let's go to layer properties.
Okay.
And let's create a new layer. And by default makes it layer 1 or whatever. And you said you want it to be landscape?
Yeah, and I want the color to be green.
What color? Green. Okay, so 0 is still current, right?
Right.
Let's see, I want that L to be capital 2. All right. So we've got landscape in here. Let's look at our swimming pool now. If I click on the swimming pool, and let's see. we can come up here to our layer and then click landscape, and it just changes it to landscape.
Oh, okay. So I can wait until I finish drawing everything and then go back and make my colors for my different layers.
Yeah, you
As
would go
long
in.
as my layers.
Yeah, although it may not be a bad idea to create your layers ahead of time. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I create
Yeah.
my layers first, but then come back at the end, and I can click on the object and then click on the layer that pertains to that object.
Yeah,
So
if that makes sense to you to do that, and then
yeah, just kind of, you know, when you're drawing, you want to just draw and get it over with, and then
yeah.
come back and do all the touch-up work.
So yeah, you click on that guy there and landscape. And but you know, if you wanted to do, say, if you knew you're going to be doing a bunch of things on landscape and you don't want to change, all you'd have to do is come up here, make it landscape, make that the current layer, and then start dragging in. Now they come in on that layer already.
Right.
So whatever's easier for you, yeah.
That's probably the right way to do it. But in case I forget, it's good to know I can come back and fix it.
AutoCAD's forgiving, so you know, if you forget that, sure. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot better explanation, man.
Yolanda, that's what I do.
Because I was like, this is going to take us months to create all these.
Yeah, I was hoping. I sent that invitation out to people. I haven't got much response, and I was willing to meet with people online at the beginning, but no one seemed to be very interested. So I figured they just want to do it on their own. But I think that if, you know, doing a few meetings, it would have saved them a lot of time, I think. But oh well.
I think so. Yeah, well, you know, I'd rather ask questions before I start, because I want to know what I'm doing.
And then the one thing to make sure, the second part of that project is really, really easy too. So you would, I don't know if you've had a chance to read that, but if we come over here to the module, FinalProject 2, once you're done with that, if I click on this direction here, what's it say? I don't know if I don't have Word on this machine right now. But you've got an Autodesk account already, right, Yolanda, to download the software?
Yes.
So what it's going to have you do is go into an A360, and what that is you'll use your Autodesk account to sign in, and it's kind of like a way to dump files up in the cloud and save them there. And then what you'll do is you'll invite me to let me go up there into the cloud and look at your drawings. And that's all it is.
Okay, I've never
Easy
done
point.
That before.
Yeah.
Okay. And it won't let me see that part until after I complete the first part.
Yeah, I think that's the way this thing is set up.